Hey there, ladies and gents. This is Tal, and I'm going to be doing a quick look at the current state of the Blood DK in the Legion Alpha. Now, I'm not a Blood DK main. I do have one in WoD right now. He's leveled up. I don't really like the kind of spammy nature with the multi-strike and everything going on, but then again, I don't have a geared DK. I don't get to try the Breath of Sindragosa playstyle and all of that. But I'm going to be giving you some basically overview changes on what how the Blood DK is playing currently and what I think the direction is going forward. Now, the most important thing, I think, most obvious thing, obviously, is that the runes have changed. The rune system, instead of being a frost and holy and blood, and then changing to death depending on what abilities you're using, they're all just runes. They're just every single one of your abilities to use a rune, just use a rune. And the interesting thing is they still recharge the same way, so it's not a situation where you can have each rune recharging like it was originally when Death Knights came out as a class in Wrath. It's still only two can be recharging at a time for each set. I think it's a little hard for me to explain. You'll basically see what I'm playing. But that is a change to the rune system there. Now I haven't actually played. I've just kind of set up my bar, and I'm going to go ahead and see what happens. But I just want to do a quick overview of the different changes to their abilities, talents, things of that nature. Um, One thing that I can go ahead and see is your mastery is still that every time you use Death Strike, you're going to be healing yourself, and a base amount of that is going to become a damage absorption shield. So that still stays the same. That's not going to be changing. As far as abilities, you still have Anti-Magic Shell, but the cooldown was increased to 1 minute. So it's only going to last for 5 seconds, it's going to absorb a bunch of magic damage, it prevents dots from being applied, and it gives you some runic power. Nice and easy. Dark Command is still your taunt. Blood Pieces of Talent, I'll talk about that later. Death and Decay costs 1 rune, 30-second cooldown. Still the same things, basically AoE. But when you're standing in it, your Scourge Strike or Blood Strike hits all enemies. So it's a new type of AoE type thing that you have if you just stand there, especially if you don't change your blood strike to heart strike. But I'll talk about that later as the talent. Blood Boil, 1 rune, spreads all diseases. Same thing. Deathgate is Deathgate. Blood Bolt is a talent, but it replaces Death's Caress. Let me just go ahead and get that changed out. Okay, let's just put that there. Where's Death's Caress? Okay, Death's Caress. It's basically a ranged attack. It just applies Blood Plague, and that's your only disease as a Blood DK. It's going to do some damage, and it heals you for 1% of your maximum health every 3 seconds, and lasts for 30 seconds. I believe each DK spec actually gets their own unique disease now. So let me go ahead and change that back. Let's avoid these talents. Death Grip is Death Grip, 20 seconds, same thing. Control Undead is still there. Death Strike. Death Strike costs runic power now. It's very, very interesting. It's going to be doing damage. It's going to heal you for 40% of all damage taken in the last 6 seconds with a minimum of 7% of your max health. And if you're under 35% health, when you cast it, all of your runic power is consumed, and it just increases the power of the Death Strike heal. So yeah, it's going to cost 40 runic power whenever you're using it, but if you're in an emergency situation, you're about to die, and you have a bunch of runic, boom, just hit it, giant healing. Dancing Rune Weapon, 3-minute cooldown, still does the same thing, just copies, you get some parry. Basically still a DPS cooldown, has a little bit of survivability, but that's it. Now Gorfine's Grasp is actually interesting because that is a baseline spell. It's no longer a talent. In fact, it's actually something that I have a talent for that reduces the cooldown by 60 seconds. So baseline, as a Blood DK, you get a 3-minute Gorfine's Grasp. Vampiric Blood, it's actually going to be a little bit different. It just increases your maximum health by 30% and increases all healing received by 30%. Now you don't have Icebound Fortitude anymore. This is basically, I guess, your version of Shield Wall. That's what you get. So it's interesting. Heart Strike does replace Blood Strike. Let me go ahead and just change that out. So Blood Strike, 1 rune, just does some damage, and it actually infects your target with Blood Plague. So basically, Death's Caress is ranged version of Blood Strike. Blood Strike is Blood Strike, but I have it actually set to Heart Strike with the talents, which again I'll go over in a little bit. So Crimson Scourge auto attacks still give you a chance to have the cooldown of Death and Decay reset. Now Marrow Rend is one of your new abilities. It costs you 2 runes, and it does a decent amount of damage, and it generates 2 charges of Bone Shield. So Bone Shield is no longer just an ability you use that stays on you all the time. It's actually a version of active mitigation, and when it's up, you reduce all damage that you take by 20%. Each damaging attack consumes a charge. It lasts for 30 seconds or until all charges are consumed. So you can actually stack this up for a while as long as you keep doing Marrow Rend and you keep Bone Shield up on yourself. Now is that a talent that I chose? Yes, it is. Okay. Mind Freeze, Interrupt, no big deal. Your Mastery is still the same thing. Path of Frost is still there. On a Pale Horse is still there. Raise Ally is still there. Uh, let's see. Okay. And then you still have Veteran of the Third War. Yeah, basically your tank buff. So that's all those changes. Now, talent-wise, you have Bloodworms. They came back. When you overheal with your Death Strike, you spawn some Bloodworms. They deal damage. They burst on you and they heal you for about 30% of all the overhealing that your Death Strike did. But if you drop below 30% health, they just immediately explode, heal you back up. Now, the talents that I chose are not necessarily what I think are going to be best. I'm just kind of thinking, I have to do my artifact quest. Let me just go ahead and choose what I think might be fun to play with. But Heart Strike is actually back. It costs a rune. It's going to do its normal cleave and infects all your targets with Blood Plague. Just basically upgraded Blood Strike. And then Consume Vitality, 2 runes, 30-second cooldown, 20-yard range, and it just drains a bunch of health from your target over 5 seconds. You can move, parry, and dodge while channeling this ability. Pretty interesting. It's something that a lot of talents you're going to notice here is it's much more focused on that vampiric aspect of blood where they're consuming someone else's life or redirecting things. A lot of things that are going to be happening here. So then the next one is Bloody Reprisal. This is a very weird one for me. It's a 1.5 minute cooldown, and while it's active, anytime an enemy's melee attacks strike you, they become infected of Blood Plague. If the enemy is already infected, Blood Plague will deal immediate damage 3 times. It has 6 charges in the last 15 seconds. So I'm not super big on the maths, but it kind of seems like you can almost keep that up indefinitely. And it just, I guess it's just a big AoE type of thing, because if you have your Blood Plague on everyone, and every time they hit you, it's going to be dealing its damage 3 times, you just pop this, and you're basically bursting on every single enemy that's hitting you every time they hit you. So pretty interesting. Blood Bowl is an upgrade to Death's Caress. It hurls a glob of blood at an enemy, deals some damage, it does some AoE damage, and every single target that it does hit with the AoE and such gets Blood Plague. So like a ranged AoE for 1 rune. And then Ossuary. Standing in your Death and Decay also causes Marrow Rend to hit multiple targets. And if it hits at least 2 targets, you get an additional Bone Shield. Death and Decay already makes your Blood Strike cleave. So Ossuary is going to make your Marrow Rend cleave. It's just going to be giving you some more bone charges, although I think I've heard that it's actually not producing the charges often, so that might just be an alpha thing. Next, you have Rapid Decomposition. Your Death and Decay deals 25% more damage to targets infected by Blood Plague. Everything should have it, so basically Death and Decay deals 25% more damage. And you gain 50% increased healing from Blood Plague when you stand in Death and Decay. A lot of these talents are focusing on you being inside Death and Decay, which, with a 30-second cooldown, if it's not being reset, are you really going to be in it all that often, or are you going to have these talents not working half the time? It's kind of the thought process I have. Red Thirst is Vampiric Blood. Instantly re-energizes 1 rune. Increases your runic power generation by 10 for its duration. I figure Vampiric Blood is basically your shield wall now. Why not give it a little more utility and give you a rune back, increase your rune regeneration, which you're going to need for Death Strike? I figure why not. Anti-Magic Barrier, it just makes your maximum health 25% more when you cast Anti-Magic Shell. Pretty standard. For 60, you have the Rune Tap, which is 1 rune. 2-minute cooldown, you consume a rune, it restores 20% of your health, and you can recast it again within 3 seconds without triggering the full cooldown. So basically, if you have 2 runes available, you can go ahead and just cast it twice, get 40% of your health back every 2 minutes. It's really powerful. Purgatory is Purgatory, same thing. And Mark of Blood. Now, this is an old favorite of mine from back when DKs first came out. You basically put a Mark of Blood on the enemy. It's a 3-minute cooldown. Whenever that enemy hits a target, the target's healed for 4% of its maximum health, and it's doubled if you are the one being hit. Last 20 seconds or 20 hits. In Purgatory, if you don't know, it basically, when you're about to die, it gives you an Absorb Shield. If you get healed up, you live. If you don't get healed up, you die. basically gives you a little bit of time to get to be saved. Tightening Grasp is what I chose for here. It just reduces the cooldown on Gorfine's Grasp by 60 seconds. Such an amazingly powerful ability. Reducing it by a minute is almost like a no-brainer. I think that's going to be an option that you're basically going to have to take, which kind of makes it not as much fun. Tremble before me is interesting. I don't see it very viable in a raid setting personally, but that's my point of view. Everything for me is raiding because I am a tank in raid guild doing mythic content. But basically, when it deals damage, every enemy that gets hit has a chance to cower in place for 3 seconds. It can't be affected more than once every 10 seconds. I think this used to be standard in Death and Decay when it first came out. It would like disorient interfere people, and it was crazily overpowered. March of the Damned, you become immune to all movement impairing effects, and you can't lose control of your character. It does not break things in effect, but it's a 1.25 minute cooldown. They took away the little speed boost that DKs had, or at least Blood DKs. So they're really emphasizing that whole situation where a Blood DK does not have movement, but they can pull things to them. They are unstoppable. They will march upon you until you die. It's not as much fun for me. I'm a monk main, so roll and Tiger's Lust is everything to me. But with Death Grip, you can just bring things to you. It's a different playstyle. Next talent here is Will or Necropolis. Reduces all damage taken by 20% when your health is below 35%, or when any attack would reduce you below 35%. And pretty simple, pretty standard. Just gives you more reduction when you're below health. DKs are notoriously spiky just because of the way their active mitigation works. Not that they're bad tanks, but a lot of these abilities are just healing them up, reducing damage when they're low, making sure that they don't get one shot, two shot. Next is Exhume. Its 1 minute cooldown gains you a charge of Bone Shield every second for 10 seconds. So basically 10 seconds or 10 charges of Bone Shield. You kind of use this, that way you can then spend some time on Marrow Rend after you've gotten a couple Death Strikes. It's a nice cooldown personally. Just kind of have to see how that goes. I'm not sure. Again, I haven't played this. I don't know how quickly you lose charges of Bone Shield. It's going to be a playtesting type thing. And then I chose Foul Bulwark. Each application of Bone Shield increases your maximum health by 3%. I think I might actually change that to Will and Necropolis. It kind of depends on how the artifact quest goes. I don't expect it to be difficult by any means, but it's a nice little thing there. You're not going to have this little time, obviously, because Bone Shield, I get the feeling, will actually be kind of annoying to maintain, but who knows. Next, you get Bone Storm. Bone Storm is 2 runes, 1 minute cooldown, does a bunch of AoE damage over 6 seconds, and heals you for 1% of your maximum health per strike. So, AoE. Heal yourself for a metric shit ton, essentially. But right now, sadly, it doesn't have a cool animation. It just looks like Rushing Jade Wind, which is why I did not choose it. I mean, I don't think I'll be doing too much AoE, and it's a 1 minute cooldown, so I won't use it as often. Blood Mirror, it's instant 2 minute cooldown. Afflict an enemy with Blood Mirror for 10 seconds. While active, 20% of any damage dealt to you is redirected to the target. So, I mean, again, a lot of that redirection, that taking something and putting it somewhere else, it's really interesting the way that they're trying to build the Blood DK. I get the feeling a lot of this is going to change, not just because Alpha is Alpha and we have to move into a couple of the patches and such, but I'm not really sure if this is going to work out too well for them, the general ideas that they have for the tree. But then I chose Blood Beast because, you call a pair of Blood Beasts, they just do damage, they heal you for 50% of the damage that they deal, they share 10% of the damage with you, it's 5 minute cooldown. I figure that might just be fun to play with. As far as what I think might be best rating wise, I mean, depending on how spiky they are, I did some Ursoc raid testing and the boss was hitting really, really difficult. Boss was hitting hard, I should say. It was very difficult to stay alive as a Vengeance Demon Hunter. That may just be that they're undertuned, though. I know that Guardian Druids and Bear DKs right now Guardian Druids and Blood DKs right now are the best tanks on the alpha. But it's definitely interesting where if you get reduced below a certain percentage, you're going to get a bunch of bonuses pop up to keep you up. A lot of redirecting of health, a lot of life leeching from things. It's very interesting. It feels like a vampire, which is exactly what they should be going towards as a Blood DK. But again, this is just kind of the stuff that I chose. I figure there's anything that was going to really change. I mean, potentially that, but it should be fine. So with all that being said, that's kind of the change that they're going towards right now for the Blood DK. They're going to be thinking more for active mitigation of Death Strike being runic power instead of runes. They're going to be having you keep up Bone Shield with Marrow Rend. So it's definitely interesting. Can't wait to try it. And I'm going to go ahead and start the artifact quest now. So let's see. Have to meet a guy over here. Unless I don't want to mount up. I'm using Invincible. I don't have it on live. I like this mount, so I figured I'm just going to use it while I'm on here. Let's get this. Now, I absolutely love the Warcraft lore, but if I read out every single quest text, I think I'm going to lose my voice. So I'm going to not do that. But, I mean, if you want to read specifically about the different lore and everything that you're going to be doing, more in-depth Novel and Preach Gaming, they are amazing people. They read it in funny voices, everything. It's fantastic. But anyways, we're Blood DK. We're going to be choosing the Maw of the Damned. Equipped, when your harmful attacks have a chance to deal 5,000 blood damage and increase your health by 15% for 10 seconds. Pretty standard, actually. Not too crazy.
Make it quick. Leave me be.
And there we go, the Lich King. I love this model for Bolvar. I hope he has a real big part to play in this expansion beyond just the artifact quests. I really can't wait till they flesh out Suramar. That place looks like it's going to be amazing. Though it feels almost a little too small. Like, I don't know if it's just me, but every time I look at Suramar, I think that the buildings don't look real or big enough. I don't know. I don't know how to explain that. Now again, I just want to reiterate, I am not a DK main. I play a DK. I'm not super crazy about them on WoD right now. I'm not in love with them as much, so forgive me if I am not the best. Oh, let me make sure that I get Arcane Torrent. Such an amazing racial. Love it. Okay, enter Legion Portal. And we play the waiting game. Oh, there we go. It's loading. Baron Silver should have already arrived to search for him. So this thing's dead. Assuming he came up here. I really miss my sprint. Even though it's a pretty shitty sprint, I still miss it.
I'm out of range.
Heart strike, Marrow Rend, the blow shield, and then Death Strike. Oh god, these new animations are amazing. Marrow Rend, Death Strike, Heart Strike. Feels weird not having Death Coil, not gonna lie. Interrupt that. I will say, I know that Unholy DKs get Runic Corruption now, and Frost DKs get Runic Empowerment. I'm actually surprised there's not one for Blood DKs. I don't know if that's intentional or if that just hasn't been implemented yet, but it's a little annoying. I guess there's nothing in there. Alright, so let me just reacquaint myself with... Jeez, damage taken reduced by 80%? Okay, hold up. So... it reduces all damage you take by 20%. Each damaging attack consumes a charge. So each charge reduces the damage you take by 20%. So let me just go up to this guy and just spam Marrow Rend. See what happens. So I'm reducing damage taken by 80%. Jesus. That's a lot of damage reduction. I mean, each melee attack is gonna make that go away, but still, that's kind of a ridiculous amount. Death Strike there. I like this little animation here so you can see. Death Strike for the cleave. Heart Strike. Yeah, the rune regen is honestly awful. I definitely feel it. Kind of feels like you do a lot of waiting.
I need to target something.
Alright, so let me just... I don't actually feel like I'm ever going to be using Blood Bolt. It's ranged, it gives you some diseases, but I mean, if you have Heart Strike, and it's just cleaving everything around you anyways, and putting the disease, why would you need Blood Bolt? So let me just... Man, I really don't have anything better to take, so never mind. Alright, so we gotta protect this guy. Blood Bolt. Oh, okay. Doesn't actually do anything, which is great. Kind of feel like I should just spam Heart Strike, to be honest. Doesn't really feel like spending the runes on Marrow matters, especially now when you're cleaving. Marrow.
I don't have a turret. It's too far away.
Well, this feels amazingly slow. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of the WAD DK, but this feels awful. This isn't fun at all. Definitely feels like Heart Strike is the winner here. I really want to change my talents. Like, I don't... Is there anything that gives me more runes? Runic power, or runes, or anything, really. Okay, so let's just start throwing in some stuff. Dancing Rune Weapon, Marrow Rend. Should probably check to see what does more damage here. Heart Strike. Marrow Rend. Yeah, Marrow Rend seems that it does more damage. I mean, it does cost 2 runes, it makes sense. But it's just so unsatisfying. Okay, so random DK prisoner. Okay, so we gotta find the key. It's probably just want me to kill everything.
I need to get closer.
Oh, actually, let me stand in this, get some runes because it's a little boring.
Too far away. I need to get closer.
Yeah, they need to do something for the rune regen because this is not good. Maybe they should just put in some blood tap. Yeah, blood tap is what's currently on live. It also doesn't feel like there's ever a point in using blood boil really. Does some AoE damage, but I mean actually it was kind of a decent amount of damage, 20,000. For mark of blood on him. Not that I'm in any sort of danger of dying. So okay, so let me just try to imagine how this is supposed to be playing on live. You probably want to keep a charge of Bone Shield on you at all times. There, it dropped off, so I want to put it back up there. Death Strike. Bone Shield. Strike, Marrow Rend, Death Strike,
I need to get closer.
interrupt that, Marrow Rend, and then take that. Alright, let's go back, let's release that DK. So I get the feeling Blood Boil is really only specifically AoE. Blood Bolts, I mean, I guess for a ranged attack, but I don't really see why you would want to waste a rune on that. Yeah, it feels like Heart Strike spam and then Death Strike spam is really the way to go right now. At least as far as doing this artifact quest. For the most survivability, not really sure. Can't really recommend anything when I'm not doing raid testing, but as far as just running around out in the world, this is not the best. Let's see, does haste increase rune? Yeah, so okay, so haste increases rune regeneration. But I mean that's pretty much it. So he doesn't want to rescue anyone, she wants to rescue people. And I'm okay with rescuing the other DKs because I mean why not? But figure you just anti-magic shell. Yeah, done. Blood bolts. Spread it. Let's try. Oh, used the blood beast by accident. Death and decay, marrow rend. The new Death Strike animation is just fantastic. Really, truly is. Definitely feels like this is going to pick up when you're doing some AoE tanking, which is interesting. It's actually very similar to the Vengeance DK, or Vengeance Demon Hunter, where when you're tanking a bunch of things, you get to reset your cooldowns a lot. You get to reset your abilities, get a lot more pain. Definitely feels like that's the way to go. But I'm gonna go ahead and change that to there because I need something more to do. Hopefully, we'll be resetting Death and Decay a lot. Maybe I haven't been playing this correctly. Heart Strike once, apply disease, Marrow Rend, Death Strike. Maybe that's the rotation. Then you want to do a Heart Strike, cleave, another Heart Strike. Oh, I think I messed that up. Actually, I wanted a Marrow Rend there. So there's a Marrow Rend. Alright, so I have to do that correctly next time. Alright, so here we go. Orphan's Grasp, nope, can't do that. Marrow Rend, Heart Strike. All gathered up, just cleave them all down. I'm really getting an indication for Death and Decay. I mean, I figure that it's going to be the same little icon that shows up here, but who knows. If it's Grasp. You can definitely feel that they need to do something to change their regeneration. It's not playable, honestly, in my opinion. It's not in a place where you can say that this is enjoyable, this is fun. I mean, that's the idea. You just want it to be fun. As far as survivability, I know that Blood DKs right now are ridiculously strong. They have so much ability to heal and just reduce damage. I know that their runic power and rune regeneration is messed up, but as far as staying alive and tanking, they're fine. They're maybe overpowered even. Then again, I don't know how many of the changes. Blizzard has been saying they want to do a lot of changes to the way tanking, healing works. I don't know how many of those changes are in. I know that major cooldowns have been reduced already, but I'm not entirely sure if there's been a pass on tank stuff so far. I'm assuming they're doing something. Hope this didn't bug out. There we go. Oh, is this? Never mind. Oh, it doesn't do enough. What does this do?
I'm out of range.
Okay, well, never mind.
It's too far away.
Oh, I think I actually had a reset there. So there's no animation for it. It's a little worrying. I don't see what the point of those things are. Okay. Stay alive, stay alive, stay alive. Or maybe I did that wrong. I have no idea. Let's heal up. Sense of blood on you.
Out of range.
Miss Soul Reaper too, actually. I think about it. So this is actually, I think this is very similar to the marksman area. No, there's a lot of repeats in the artifact quests, which kind of sucks, but what are you gonna do? Oh yeah, he's dead. Never mind. Yeah, he's dead. I love this Borderlands style. And they got here. Alright, so let's pump everything out. Let Beast go. Marrow Rend, Heart Strike, Death Strike. Can we avoid that? Yes, we can. No, we can't actually. Heart Strike. Like I said, it definitely feels like in AoE situations this becomes a lot more playable, but outside of that it's just not as enjoyable, I guess. Oh, they're leaving crap behind. All that. Death Strike, Marrow Rend. Them all together, Marrow Rend, keep him down. And he's dead. Actually, I'm gonna get some runes, never mind. Runic power. Stand in this, doesn't even matter. And there, done. Let's pick this up. There we go, Maw of the Damned, one of the cooler artifact weapons, especially for Blood DK. Looks absolutely thematic. Do I already have it equipped? Yes, I do. Maw of the Damned. Just does damage, it increases my health by 15%. Let's take this Death Kate. Alright, and here's where we kind of establish our class hole.
To my throne and receive where the weak showed mercy. You did not hesitate to strike. Where the unworthy were vanquished, you have conquered. I now mark you with my sigil. Let all recognize you as the enforcer of my will. As
Alright, so I like this because it shows that the Lich King, Bolvar at least, is actually taking an active part now in the world. And also, a lot of these artifact quests keep referencing these Dreadlords, that they did something awful in the Broken Shore, that they did something that just decimated the Alliance and the Horde, and everyone's trying to hunt them down. I cannot wait for the Broken Shore to come out. I'm definitely going to be putting this up. I'm going to be testing it, recording it, putting it up for sure, because it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happened there. Oh my god, I missed my sprint even more. It's not even that big of a sprint, but it was something. And DKs need some sort of movement. I'm adamant. As much as they want it to be something where they're the slow class, where they're the only one that doesn't have a speed increase, it's just not as much fun. You can't even go into Unholy Stance anymore. So RP gonna make me in charge of everything for some reason, even though we're not supposed to be listening to the Lich King, but you know. But the DKs, man, gotta have some sort of story. There we go. I am now the Death Lord. Do I actually have the title? Nope, not yet. There we go. I got a follower. Still no title. This is where you go to the forge. Basically, it's how you figure out how to upgrade your artifact weapon and all that. I really do like the model for this, although it feels a little small on Blood Oath, but oh well. Where's the forge? Is that? No, it's the big one. I do like these Blood Beasts. It's definitely cool. Just rolling around with these. I like that a lot of the DK specs have minions that are kind of summoned either on purpose or just as a proc. It really makes you feel like a DK. You have minions that are being summoned. Alright, use Soul Forge. And we're gonna give it, turn it there so you can nice and see. Consumption, 45-second cooldown. Focus Dark Power into a strike that deals a shit ton of physical damage and heals you for 50% of all damage taken in the last 12 seconds. So this is super Death Strike. Essentially, I mean, I'm gonna assume that you kind of want to use it on cooldown, but you also just wanna, like, if you just get trucked, you get absolutely face smashed. You just pop that, get healed back up. It's pretty nice. Let's see here, we have, can't even say it. When Vampiric Blood expires, gain an absorb effect equal to 5 times the damage you dealt with the Blood Plague during the duration. So I guess that would encourage you to take those talents that made Blood Plague hit a lot more often. That could be ridiculous, absolutely monstrously ridiculous in an AoE situation where you have all those little Blood Plagues exploding, you get a massive shield. That might need to be changed or balanced in some way. When your blood shield expires, deal damage equal to half your missing health to the enemy target. Gain health equal to the damage you deal. And skeletal shattering, your bone shield now has a chance equal to your crit strike chance to prevent 50% damage on a hit. Interesting. Okay, well, that's that. Let's just turn this in. And okay, so this is where you choose where you level. So all in all, actually, let me move this first. So this ability, I really just don't see the point of this. This is just a ranged attack. This is something where you need to pull aggro or pull threat or something. I don't know. I don't see that being useful. But this, on the other hand, huge ability. Let me actually go test it real quick. 110, 110. Where's something I can actually hit? Okay, I guess I'll just not be able to hit anything. 110. Nice big smack. Okay, so I mean, as far as how the DK is playing, rune regeneration and runing power needs a check. Maybe not runing power. I mean, the abilities when I was using them, I was getting a decent amount of runing power. Rune regeneration, they need something put in there, either a talent or a talent tier, I mean, or give them their own baseline one. Maybe give them blood tap, or give them runic corruption, whatever. Something needs to happen. As far as the base abilities, Deathstrike being runic power is a little weird, but I guess I get it because if not, you just use all your runes on Deathstrike and or all on Deathstrike and all on Marrow Rend. You wouldn't have too much of an option there. It'd be either you want to get healed up or you want to prevent damage, which I mean, it's a choice, but it's not an interesting choice. Heartstrike, I feel like is the star, to be honest. This is amazing for healing, sure. Maybe this is amazing for healing now that I think about it because your runes don't regenerate nearly fast enough to do a lot of death strikes. That I mean, it's a heal. I don't see that being too crazy. It's a channel, so I don't even know. It's 5-second channel, so Heartstrike definitely feels like it's the winner there. Marrow Rend keeps up Bone Shield. Bone Shield charges go pretty quick, so I mean, I don't know. You definitely want to keep it up for when you're gonna get hit by something really, really strong, especially because DKs have been historically spiky. So it's definitely gonna be something you want to keep up. Blood Boil, I mean, I guess AoE, but the death and decay with Blood Strike, Heart Strike, and Marrow Rend Cleave just kind of feels a lot more stronger than that. Cooldowns are interesting. Vampiric Blood being your new shield wall, it's a much shorter cooldown, and it is a powerful it's a powerful thing. Thematically, it works because it increases your healing, and everything a Blood DK does is healing. So it could actually be even stronger than an Icebound Fortitude. But then again, is you're not really reducing damage. You're just giving yourself a bunch of health, which could, not work out. Other than that, I mean, my only real opinion of this is it's slow. It's really slow. It's not fun slow. It's just slow. There's a lot of healing. There's a lot of redirecting of damage, draining. It's very interesting. But as far as how this is going to work out rating-wise, I need a couple more iterations and maybe need to test some dungeons. But that's kind of my first impressions, my first look at the Blood DK as well as the Artifact Quest. And I hope that if you like this video, go ahead and like, share, subscribe, any of that jazz. This is something new that I'm trying out, something that I'd really like to work towards, but I'm basically going to be making a bunch of videos for all the tanks. All the tanks are my focus. The other classes are kind of things I want to maybe shoot some videos out on, but tanking is my deal. So on that note, this has been my Blood DK views and impressions. Thank you.